Welcome to River City Plus. It is the show after the show, and today we just kind of came up with this on the fly. Jana and I were talking on River City Live about traveling companions, and it just we were hitting the nuts and bolts, but then it's like, I got stories. We got to do a deeper dive on this combo.
Yeah, I think this really worked out well. And we're two people who really like to travel. I think we both traveled a lot, but we've also traveled very independently. So I think when you start to incorporate someone else into any sort of equation, especially one that involves like TSA and tickets and multiple locations, it can get dicey.
Oh, yeah. So I travel a lot independently some years ago and now, but there was a stretch where I had a lot of people with me, and yeah, that is a true test of what a relationship is gonna be like. So, any kind of dynamic. So let's just hit with some of the bullet points and then we'll get into the stories, right? So what was our first one?
Okay, so the first one we were talking about was like an itinerary. So I want to throw this to you because I feel like maybe we're different on this. Do you like a scheduled itinerary, or do you like to just have a location in mind where you're going?
All right, so let's preface it. So we're having a conversation about if are you a planner or you just kind of go with the flow? Is that where we're going?
Yeah, planner, go with the flow.
All right, so I'm kind of a go with the flow type person, and I'm kind of a go with the flow because I like a basis, but don't plan me every significant minute of what we are doing, because it just feels so like school
rigid.
Or like very rigid, and I can't be about that life. I like a little idea of what's going on, but yeah, let's free flow. Here, I'm gonna flip with you.
Okay.
Oh, we're good. Oh, sorry. So
It's live.
no.
So just like that, free flow. So maybe we would be good travel partners because I'm the same. Like I like to have like earmarks of like, hey, I'd like to do this. Maybe we can, throw an adventure in there. But I am also of the mindset that just because we're going to the same venue or location doesn't mean we have to have the same trip. Like my joy might not be what brings you joy.
Right.
I think that's where people get it twisted. So if you go on like group vacations, and this can be with like siggos or just friends, I don't like the people who are like, here's your itinerary, like here's all the things we're doing and we all got to do this as a group. I like to say like, if I wanted to travel in pairs, I'd be a nun. All right. Like I don't need that in my life. I think it's great where you have options, and it's like kind of like a cruise pamphlet on the Lido deck. Like here's all the things that are happening. Join where you feel like being a joiner. So that's kind of where I am.
I mean, I like it. So it's like, hey, we've kind of got this tentatively scheduled, so we're going to do this day and this time and whatever. And as long as I can deal with that. But when it's like, okay, today we're going here, we got at 10 o'clock, and then at noon we got to be here, and that, and there can be a day where you do have that kind of travel.
Right.
But for a long overall trip, let's just kind of like, hey, you know what? The scheduling didn't work out. We can relax and just go with the flow.
Right.
So,
and do you agree that there's different, like, so if you're going somewhere where I'm like, I know there's a lot to see, like maybe you're doing like Rome or something, like where you're like, I know there's a lot to see. I might not have a lot of opportunity to see this. Like I'll put on my dad would call it my good walking shoes for the day and we'll go hit it. Great. But then we're having like a nice dinner and there's wine or whatever, but I'm not doing that for a 7-day stretch.
No. So that was planning. Itinerary, is that the same?
I think like planning itineraries.
That's
kinda,
about the
kinda
same.
Similar.
Yeah. So,
and I think that goes into adventure levels. Can I skip? I think we need to talk about sleep and money.
Let's
I think we talk. I
sleep.
was like, I'm going out of order here because I think these can make or break vacations.
So when it comes to your sleep, if you're with a significant or whoever. So
you got a roommate.
Yeah. So
this can affect you.
One of you is an early riser and wants to get out and explore the city or wherever you're at. The other one, I want to sleep in a little bit. And that can definitely cause a rift. Like, get up, let's go. We must be going. This kind of goes back into like we have an itinerary.
Right, exactly. I think a lot of this ties in. So again, I'm of the opinion you want to get up if like working out on vacation is what you do, early breakfast is what you do, whatever. It's your trip too. But do not disturb my slumber. I'll end you. If I'm on vacation, that means I'm like a parent with kid. Like, because my dogs wake me up at the same time every day. Like, it doesn't matter if it's my day off. Like, they expect breakfast at the same time every day. Hank's right here. So, no. So, let me sleep. I'm an adult. I will get up when I see fit. And I paid to be here. So again, I will get up when I see fit.
Now, I mean, again, we're talking, if you have something scheduled, like, hey, we're waking up at this time,
Sure.
great.
If
But
we
it's like,
agreed on this previously, but don't be bouncing on my bed at 7 a.m. while I'm at somewhere tropical on a Saturday. No, no, no.
especially if, like, there was a night before.
Amen.
If there's a night before, come on. Because you have those few that it's like they bounce back, and it's like, even if it hasn't been over the top, you're just still like, I just want to relax, get into the day. I don't need to rush into XYZ right now. So, yeah, that sleep schedule, and then what about going to sleep? Somebody's a night owl, and the other one's like, all right, I'm done for the night. It's like, it is 10 o'clock, and we're still going, and so you got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, I think all of those things are factors. And like I said, like it totally depends. Like if we've said, hey, like we're all going to get up, we're going to do this thing. Like I'm also going to plan my night accordingly, and we're going to get up, we're going to hike the waterfall, we're going to do a class, whatever we're going to do. But I'm definitely more free flow, but I am about like the communication. Where I get bent out of shape is when other people start getting fussy because like we all need to work as a unit here. And I'm like, I think there's a time and place for that. Like, especially like bachelorette trips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, are bachelor trips the same?
I don't know. I've never been on one.
What?
Never been on one. It's probably a good thing, but
That is a whole different kind of travel. Like you haven't seen stress until you're assigned some tacky, like matching t-shirt with like, you got to
Nope.
drinking out of penis straws, wearing
Nope.
penis tiaras, walking down Myrtle Beach or something. Like it's just a different kind of travel. And inevitably, here's the characters that you'll find at a bachelorette party. There's somebody who had to be there because they're like an obligatory family member. They've known that person since kindergarten, but really no connectivity to the rest of the group. Whoever's related to her coming into the new family. So you got to like figure out your feral friends and who's okay to invite. There's a planner. There's inevitably a planner of the group. She's going to create a Canva itinerary. She's going to send it out to you. She's going to tell you the mood board. She's going to tell you how much to Venmo her. I love her because unfortunately by default, I can become her sometimes. I don't want to be her. It's not my nature. But if it's like, if the gremlins are loose, like I can kind of lead the camp to Myrtle Beach or Charleston or wherever.
what about the one that it doesn't matter what you is always wilding out? That the Melissa McCarthy in Bridesmaids.
Yes. So she's always fun. Who I don't like is the Debbie Downer, who's just gonna like cry the second she has one margarita. I'm like, just
Or the one that's or Mama Bear. It's like, all right, guys, and stuff, and it's like, no, we're here to party. Like, keep us in line a little bit. Make sure we don't get way out of pocket. But don't kill my vibe.
Right, don't kill my vibe. But please do make sure I have chicken nuggets after midnight.
Oh
like,
yeah,
please.
definitely make sure there's something at the end of the night. It's like, all right, make sure everybody eats and drink. I like that one too. It's
Right,
like,
after 30, like
eat.
I need someone to make sure it's like, here's your pizza and here's your Pedialyte. Like, go to bed.
Everybody eat and drink some water. Make sure you're hydrated. Here's some Advil.
Right. Yes. That's when it's good to have a mom on the trip, because the mom wants to have fun, but she's got that purse of all the things.
Mm-hmm.
I actually told this story this weekend. I have been in an emergency situation. It was like a girl emergency. And I ran into a Starbucks and was like, is there a mom here? Because I was like, I knew that a mom could fix it. Not is there a doctor on the plane, but I'm in a Starbucks going, is there a mom in here? Where's mom? And there was, and we fixed it. It was great.
All right, so let's talk about money when you go on a trip. Now, this one, it can definitely cause havoc when you've got a group, but let's just say one-on-one.
Yeah.
Maybe it's your sicko, maybe it's just friends, but one of you like to go big. Every restaurant has to be expensive, and every adventure has to be top shelf, and then you've got somebody else who's like, I'm balling on a budget. We can get one high-end restaurant, let's eat local, and we can experience that, but let's have one big experience, and everything else, let's just keep it going.
I think it's one of the things too, like if I've had time to plan for the trip, like I'm going to have more of a budget allotted. Like obviously one day when this is me and you, yes, I'll be like,
whatever happens.
Get the PJ on the tarmac, let's roll.
Right.
Until that point, or until we hit the lottery, yeah, it's like I have to be mindful of my budget, but it's like I do want to go and enjoy. I don't want to spend the whole time stressing about what I'm spending. So I like to save up and know like, hey, I've allotted this, and like I can spend this big girl money and call it a day. Unfortunately, you know me, especially when it's like party time, I turn into, I turn into YOLO Jan. I'm like, you only live once. We're never going to have this moment together again. We're worth it. Da-da-da. And the next day I'm like, she needs to sit down. YOLO Jana needs to have a seat. Have a seat with Credit Karma Jana. Have a seat. I know my dad's watching going like, yeah.
Yeah, well, see, I'm that one. I have been known, and I've definitely worked on it. There was some things I'd go on trips, and there would be a budget, and then people I was with were sharing money, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, we can do this, and we can pay for it on the back end. And I'm like, wait a second, that doesn't work in Rance math. But, you go with it, and then you get on the backside, and you get home, you're like, what? So the day before the end of a trip, I would start thinking about how much did we spend? I think we went over budget. Then I start thinking like, oh my gosh, when I get back to work, what am I going to have to get? And totally kill the end of the trip. And I mean, I admit it, and I apologize to the parties that were involved, but that's something I've definitely strived for, whatever it is. But I've definitely gotten better about it. But yeah, when it comes to money, so that's why I refuse to go to Vegas. Like, I got friends and family to Vegas. Come on out. And I'm like, if I go to Vegas, I want X amount of dollars because I want to go to a couple of shows, which aren't cheap, like those residency shows.
Yeah, they're expensive.
What? And then I want to go blow some money on crafts and not be stressed about when I get back, like, oh my gosh, I blew my wad and I'm going to be working 4 jobs instead of the 3 I've already doing right now, So, but can we pivot a little bit? I mean, we've been talking about like kind of exotic trips. What about road trips? That's where I think road trips is where you really, really like going through TSA with people and stuff.
Yep.
You get a sense of what they're like, their stress levels.
Yeah.
But when you're traveling with somebody in a car for 4 hours plus to get to where.
So, my cap is 5. So don't ever ask me about an RV. Don't ever ask me about cross country. I'm not your girl.
Even if you're not driving.
No, I'm not going.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with you, but I'm just saying.
No, ain't no sense in that. Like, Lord built airports. Like, let's get in a plane.
Okay, so it's under 5 hours. You're on a road trip with whoever.
Right. Maybe a 6. Like, maybe it's something.
What is there a rule for when you travel with somebody? Like, so my rule is like driver, whoever has the wheel controls the radio.
Agreed.
We can kind of work that back and forth, but whoever has the wheel controls the radio. So road trip snacks.
There has to be road trip snacks. I'm not getting in a car with somebody who's like, oh, we can't eat in the car.
Who does that anymore?
I've been in people's cars where they're like, and they'll like have food in the car, but it's like, oh, we'll open that when we get there. And I'm like, what? That's like part of the road trip experience is like, I call them trashy snacks. Like I'm not bringing, unless I'm with Stephanie, because Stephanie packs healthy snacks. Thank you for that. But I'm getting like chili cheese Fritos. I'm getting Funyuns. Like I'm going spring break snacks. Like I no longer care about the caloric content of what is in this gas station bag. Like I'm eating it. Like that's what I'm doing. And so if I'm getting in a car with somebody who's like, oh, we don't eat in the car, I'll just tuck and roll right out of there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I'm not finishing that trip.
All right, so let's take it back, rewind. Road tripping with your family. How was it with snacks? I mean, I know it was
always snacks. Always
but
snacks.
I mean, I know it was you, and so I'm just putting this out there. So Eddie Murphy talks about house burgers and McDonald's and stuff,
Yeah.
and like so. Growing up, we did not stop for fast food because I played club soccer, so
Yep.
we'd hop in our conversion van, have a convoy with other players, moms and dads, and we just up and down the highway wherever we're doing. So there was no like stopping for fast food. Mary and Carsey, they would cook up like meals. Like, I mean, but it was like sandwiches, but it was meals. So it could be like, I don't even want to run the list. Had to have hot sauce in the car. But my mom would put a towel on my dad's lap while he's driving, and he would have like his whole meal and his sandwich and just grubbing away. And that's how I grew up. And so I've kind of taken that to some degree. Actually, I will hit some fast food places with my little diva when we roll out.
Yeah.
But we're like big on gas station dogs. I know, whatever. Don't judge.
I'm like, oh, you're the people who eat them. I always wonder, I'm like, who eats these? And I'm like, it's
we
you.
do.
Love it.
I did that with my pop, and I just basically giving her that same tradition.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like when you guys would snack, would it just be like kind of like Munchables, or would they bring like full on?
So no, we would take like meals because I mean, but inevitably like we would at some point win because my dad was like, Pat, we got food at the house. pack it, put it in the car. But inevitably, like, usually he would get hungry first. He'd be
Yeah.
like, all right, we're stopping. Everyone gets one thing. You know what I mean? Like, because it's expensive. And we were a family of five, you
Yeah.
know, like kind of, like you said, like on a budget. So being mindful. But I think I've kind of taken my new tact from you. I will pack my food before I leave the house because also, too, if it's just me or driving or whatever, I'm like, okay, this way I won't just stop at Taco Bell and like eat enough food for a frat house. Like,
But I've also learned that you cannot eat Taco Bell on the road. It's not pretty.
you know, I go quesadilla if I'm on the road.
Oh,
Because it's like
smart.
it's in little triangles. It's good.
I learned the hard way of like, oh, I got tacos, and it's like, oh, that was not a
Yeah,
good look.
not the best.
So,
You know my one place that I always stop when I do drive home because it takes me about 5 hours to get back to Rock Hill.
say it.
Cookout.
Yes!
Yeah, it's like and it's like the same cookout. I get a tray. I get the fried chicken sandwich. I add cheese to it. I get double chicken nuggets as a side so that Hank and Reba can have the chicken nuggets.
So we drove to South Carolina for a road trip with the little one.
I'm so hungry.
And,
What time is this
I know.
stream over? I'm dying.
But
Wasting away.
We drove to South Carolina and we're driving by and I'm like, oh, cookout. And she has very little minimal memory. I'm like, don't you remember they had like 50 shakes and da-da-da? And she's like, well, yeah, I remember that. But I'm like, it was inexpensive and
Yeah.
it tasted good and made to order. But yeah, that cookout.
It's so good.
So
good.
I know
We need
we're running a little long, but
We gotta go.
what about when you go home? Is there a place you go that's like, I have to go here? It may not be the best. This is what, but this always makes me think of home because I can only get this here. Besides cookout,
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. So I mean, unfortunately, like in Rock Hill, a couple of my go-to places have closed just over the years. But when I used to go home for college, it was always like I had to go to the Varsity. That was the place where if you wanted a chili dog, you needed to request the hot dog be put in there.
I love that story.
That was that place. The place where everyone still smoked inside, even though it's been illegal for years. So that I always have to go to Substation 2 to get a sandwich, slice, garden. Been the same since I was born, I think. Got to go to the pump house. Like there's like I have to go certain places, and when people are like, "Oh, do you want to go here?" I'm like, "I've got to hit these first." El Cancun, like, got to go there. But there's certain places that me and my sisters, it's like we have to go and go home, and mom has to make spaghetti, or else we can't go back.
See, mine, it's like it's a chain, but it's like they're minimal now, and they're still sprinkled here and there. But Taco Bueno, like,
Ooh.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it wasn't great. Isn't great, but it's like that's the only
Great
thing.
to you. That's all that matters.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm gonna keep it 100 Dallas and stuff. It's weren't a lot of mom and pops that you grew up on, and so that place there was a mom and pop taco shop on the other side, but that place is like I can't get this anywhere else. So when I go home, I go there, I take a picture. I'm like, all right, I'm in town, and so
Yeah.
but on the grand scheme of things, on the regular, I'd probably miss it.
No, I mean, so lots of places. We'd love to hear your places in Jacksonville. If you're a homegrown local, where do you like to visit when you come back and visit mom and pop? I think it'd be cool.
Oh yeah, hit us up on our Facebook page, River City Live. We're open. So we'll be back tomorrow for more River City Plus tomorrow, 9:30 for River City Live.
We got to go eat.